Good morning, everybody. Jake Rowe with DawgsHQ with Rusty Mansell, also of DawgsHQ. And Rusty, did anything go on? What was your day like yesterday?
Well, let me just say that I'm doing the state championship games in Georgia, and something that I love to do and honored to do that. And I'm just in the middle of the state championship game yesterday, and all of a sudden my phone starts going off. The only other time it's really ever gone off like that was when the Todd Gurley deal got announced. And I turned my phone over for sure, but it was a wild, wild, wild afternoon at Mercedes-Benz.
Sorry, I'm having some technical difficulties over here. Yeah, there's no doubt about it. And when you do this long enough, or you follow this long enough, there are going to be days like that. And
yeah. I
mean, Laramie Tunsil Day kind of is one of them. Just in terms of sheer vitriol and frustration. I think Todd Monken a couple years ago, prior to the Orange Bowl in those Zoom only conferences after they lured us all to Miami. Him saying Georgia can absolutely win a national championship with Stetson Bennett. Boy, Georgia fans got real pissed off about that one too. But there have been some wild days. Been some wild days, and I love it, man. I really do. I love it because I love how much everybody.
You do. That's the sick part about you. You do. So,
I don't love it that people are mad. I just love how much people care.
Oh, I know. You get right in there with it. That's why I'm glad you're here, because you'll get right in the middle. It's like a big pig pen, man. You jump right in the middle of the pig pen like you're here for it, man.
Rusty said that's why there's something wrong with me. I got something broken in my brain.
There's something wrong with you, dude.
You're not wrong. We had a good time talking with Matt Godwin about it last night too on Bark After Dark. It was a good show. We poured some drinks, and Matt had a really good perspective on the whole thing. And listen, this is
can you explain who Matt is for people that didn't watch
for those that don't know Matt, he's been on Bark After Dark I think 2 or 3 times now. He's been on the Georgia show before. He is Georgia's former director of player personnel. And he's Georgia's former player director of personnel by choice, probably because of some stuff we're seeing right now with the transfer portal and things of this nature. But listen, there's a lot of discussion we're going to do about this. We're going to react to the whole Dylan Raiola news, and the fact that he's taken an official visit to Nebraska. That's out there. Listen, 50-50 at absolute positively best that Georgia lands him, and it's probably less than that at this point. It seems like Nebraska has all the momentum right now. But Rusty, just in terms of how you look at it, we're the information and the scoop, that's for our DawgsHQ subscribers over at our website. But let's just talk about kind of how you look at this whole situation and what it kind of says to you about how this is all going down.
It's kind of the school you always wondered at the end of the day, every single time that before he committed to Ohio State, thought Nebraska and Georgia were involved, commits to Ohio State, decommits from Ohio State. And then you kind of think Nebraska is going to team. Then Matt Rule got to Nebraska. So those things really, that kind of get everybody's attention. But, without going into way too much detail, obviously his dad, one of the best offensive linemen to ever play college football. He was a great talent, played a long time in NFL. His uncle is a full-time assistant at the University of Nebraska. So a lot of ties to that school. And here's the deal, if you have any concerns in the back of your mind about Georgia, if you have any hesitation about not going to Nebraska, his time was ticking. And that's this weekend, because he would have been at Georgia. And if he does stay with Georgia, which doesn't seem like that's going to happen at this point right now to me, he would have to be on campus this weekend, I think Sunday. So, if you're having any type of hesitation about Georgia or not ending up in Nebraska, it's time to make a move.
Yeah, and one thing I'll say is, listen, I've interacted with this kid. I have a great opinion of him. I watched the throwing session over at Jefferson High School whenever he was a field general, and he was pointing and directing, and the guys respected him. And I had a wonderful, wonderful time, talking with him. A great kid. So I'm not trying to cast aspersions on him at all when I say what I'm about to say, and that's that there's a lot of toothpaste out of the tube at this point. If he did want to come back to Georgia, I think he's used up a lot of capital within the fan base, and it's not, there's not as much shine there, and that's tough. That's the way this thing works when it's so public, Rusty, and it's so out there. That's just kind of how this works. There's almost a point of, I don't want to say a point of no return, because when he who signs on the line that is dotted normally, is going to end up getting the benefit of the doubt. It may take some time, but this is a tough time for this to happen. I mean, he's got to take care of him, but this is a tough time for this to happen just in general.
He would have to know, and I think he knows, and his family knows, and Georgia knows. If he's going to take that visit to Nebraska on the weekend that you're supposed to basically enroll at Georgia, pretty much kind of tells me what you need to know, and you understand what's going on there. You know what I'm saying? And, for whatever reason, and there's some things we've talked about on DawgsHQ, what we think, but for him to take that official visit on a weekend that he was set to get going to the University of Georgia team he's committed to, really, honestly, kind of tells you to tell.
Looking at this question here, does Georgia look for a transfer quarterback or try to flip a high school guy right before signing day? We'll have a lot more information on this over.
I'm gonna have a note on that this morning, and probably before 9:30 on DawgsHQ, and I'll feel confident in what I'm gonna answer this morning on that very well question. That's a great question. Kirby dumb, but that's a great question.
So, Rusty, when you look at the quarterback situation, obviously, this is not ideal. I mean, he's a talented kid. They offered him for a reason. They went after him for a reason. But it's one of those things where you're probably thinking about a 2025 season before this was ever really going to maybe impact Georgia anyway, right? I mean, this is not no. We talked about it. Georgia was going to go into the portal if Carson Beck ended up going pro. And right now we're still in the same boat that we were this time last week. We would lean on Carson coming back. But this is not a 2024 deal. So this is not, I will say that, in response to that question, Georgia taking a transfer to replace Dylan Raiola, I don't think that's going to happen.
That's not going to be, probably not the option that I think is going to happen.
At least not this year. At least not this year. Maybe next year, if they get an assessment of how that quarterback room is, maybe in next year's transfer portal market, they'll get involved. Because then they won't have two guys kind of going into their second year in the program, as opposed to then now they're just going to have the one. And the good news is, Rusty, is that Ryan Puglisi is padlocked, several padlocks, shoehorn padlock, wedged the door. Everything's closed there. Georgia's good to go as far as we know, right?
Yes, he did a signing ceremony last night. Obviously, he can't technically sign, but a lot of schools like Jacoby White and all these guys because they're leaving this weekend. They're going ahead and doing their signing deal and having their ceremony with their players. So this guy's locked in. And I made a note. And if you want to join DawgsHQ, if you don't, that's okay. No big deal. We're going to continue to do these YouTube lives. But go look at the quote, and that's from Ryan Puglisi's dad. Go look at the quote he gave me, and how a school approached him last night. And that'd be worth your $1. You want to spend $1 to join our site? Yeah. Go spend $1. Go spend $1, and hell, cancel tonight. Don't even care. Just go read that. Spend some time on Dog Walk and our message board, and see what you think. And
it's $1 for your first month. I mean, it's listen, $1.
Hang out. Yeah, hang out, man. You'll get me shopping. You'll get me Christmas shopping on Christmas Eve. You get some inside information on that, and you get to see all of our stuff for 30 days. So just come out, hang out for $1 for 30 days.
Yeah. All right. Let's all the other Dylan Raiola stuff and fallout can be found over at DawgsHQ. But Rusty, you called that game yesterday, Swainsboro and Prince Avenue.
Speaking of good news.
Yeah. Deello Jones is unreal. Absolutely unreal.
Man, they played every play. That was the most impressive thing. And there's so many different terms, but the one that gets used the most, but I said it on air, you want to talk about a dynamic athlete, and that play he made on the goal line, and he jumped that route and went 98 yards for a touchdown. Then he takes a bubble screen, 59 yards for a touchdown. And You just look at him and know, where he's from. Tough ass, hard nosed South Georgia kid. And I don't know if I can use that language on here, but I did. And when you do that, you get that right mixture. This kid's a 3-sport athlete. He's a 6'5", 6'4" high jumper. He's a state track meet state champion. But the thing about me, Jake, and I don't want to dig too much into him personally, but as you walk down toward the locker room last night, and I go by the locker room, and he's visibly and emotionally upset because he left every ounce he had on that. He played every play, I think, Jake, and those type of kids are checking boxes and they translate. Thank you, Kirby. Appreciate you just joining. And check out our message board. A lot of stuff going there. But I'm telling you, man, Deello Jones. If Georgia fans want to be excited, go to GPB Sports or my account and watch those highlights from last night, because I'm telling you, that dude put on a freaking show, and he's 6'1". I mean, he is a long 1 percentile corner.
Yeah, and he's one of those dudes that when you watch him, I mean, I don't know. Listen, I'm not saying he's going to wear a gold jacket one day like Champ Bailey, but that's the kind of athlete. Those are some of the kind of vibes you get. And I saw that cat play in high school, and he looked bigger. He looked bigger on the field than he actually is. Like, you look out there, Deello Jones looks like he's 6'4", 220 pounds, playing with a bunch of kids, and they lost, right? Because Prince Avenue is one of the best programs in the country at getting 5'3" kids to catch the ball, like Terrell Owens. Those guys don't drop anything. But they had a really good team, and the way he took that game over at times, because I was able to watch it in bits and pieces. They put him at quarterback. He runs it in from the 2-yard line. Then they split him out at wide receiver, hand him a jet sweep on the on the 2-point, and they get that. I mean, he's electric. And I've said it all along, and I firmly agree. I believe that Georgia's 2 best players in this class are going to both play in the defensive backfield. Ellis Robinson and Deello Jones. I mean, listen, I think the world of Justin Williams and Joseph Jonah Ajayi. Dylan Raiola is a fantastic talent. I love Nate Frazier. I think Nate Frazier is an absolute baller, but I think that those two they're special. And I think, I don't know, I wonder if we're going to look back in a few years, if Georgia can retain them and kind of keep them in place, if we're looking back in a few years, and maybe the best cornerback tandem Georgia's ever signed in one single class.
Look, I don't want to put that much on them, but I'll just tell you this, man. Those are easy guys to evaluate. Those are easy guys. And you look at a kid from Swainsboro, Georgia. If you put Deello Jones in Gwinnett County, there would be media. There'd be media at his school every single day. Because that's how good he is. He's Mike Matthews good, and Mike Matthews handled it well. But there was a ton of media attention on Mike Matthews. If you put Deello Jones at Parkview or Grayson or one of them, there'd be media every single day at his school. That's how good that guy is. And I just think Georgia fans, man, you want to talk about exciting? Oh, that dude, he just checks boxes, man, and he loves some football. And I have zero concerns with Deello Jones. Like, that guy's going to be a damn baller in Athens. Yeah,
we covered a lot of guys over the years, and he gives you those Malcolm Mitchell vibes. I mean, just you can come up with
kind of explosive, like Miko Hardman, but he's bigger than Miko. You know what I mean? Like, he's got that. You know how quick Miko would get into 5th gear? Like, it was if you gave Miko a crease, it was over. That's what Mello to me, but he's bigger than Miko.
Yeah, that's a good one too. I mean, there's special athletes in this state. A lot of them play like he did, both ways, or play multiple positions because they're needed, especially at smaller schools. And he's something special, man. Absolutely. Somebody asked me how I'm feeling right here because I had some drinks last night. Man, I'm good to go. I had a couple drinks. I'm good to go.
Y'all really had some drinks last night?
Yeah, absolutely. We were pouring them last night. We had to. What a day. What a day.
I needed ones. Y'all can see them in my hotel in Atlanta.
I had the bottle. I had the bottle right here. I just,
man.
I had the bottle. So
I got to redo my contract. I got to get on a show that allows that.
Hey, man, that's Bark.
I got 20 ounce coffee this morning.
Hey, I got me one too. All right, so Rusty, what we got coming today over at DawgsHQ? More notes on this whole Raiola thing. We've some other stuff, some other insider stuff. We're going to be reporting on the transfer portal. We got some more notes from the recruiting trail. We're going to have it covered for and if you're kind of late to this whole thing, Georgia had another transfer portal entry yesterday. Not a surprise. Alou Ba jumped in. I think that's the guy that we kind of expected was probably going to move on. It moves Georgia's total to 12 scholarship guys out of the portal, and 13 overall with Mekhi Muse. And guys, this has to happen. Georgia's got to lose more. They got to lose more. So they're going to have some guys leave early. They're going to have some more guys enter the portal. And we're going to have you covered over at DawgsHQ, $1 for 1 month. Perfect opportunity to sample what we've got going on over there. We've got a transfer portal tracker with, just comprehensive updates since it started. So you can kind of just pop in and that's a good 45 minutes of reading, just going through that thread and all that. There's plenty of information in there. And we've got it for you. Targets, all of it. But, I think this is going to be it for this morning. We'll go a little bit longer on Thursday when we join you. Programming note, just so everybody knows, there is no Wednesday night Georgia show. We're replacing Wednesday night Georgia show with 2 a.m. shows during the week, Tuesday and Thursday, and we want to see you guys here for that. But for this episode, I'm Jake, he's Rusty, and y'all take care.
Thanks, guys.